So I'm adding this to my kayak. And you know what? This is the easy part. Actually going out and buying this is the easy part. Trying to figure out how to put it on the kayak is the more difficult part. So I went out today and I bought this mini decoder. I actually bought it from Walmart and I got it on sale. I think I paid $89 for it. It is a 30-pound thrust, which will be more than enough for my kayak. Like I said in the beginning, this is the easy part. This just mounts on some sort of a bracket that I have to build. And I use YouTube all the time for looking for things. So there are so many different ideas on YouTube on how to mount this, from simple things like a piece of plywood to more elaborate things where there's these metal contraptions all over the boat, to where they actually take the head off of this, they mount it in the back, and they have the foot pedals do the steering. I don't want to do any of that. I wanted to make this as simple as possible. I want to make this that I can remove this. I can remove the footprint that this is sitting on just by some bolts, and I don't want to have any holes from the bolts. I see other people who just take a piece of plywood and they bolt it to their kayak, and then that piece of plywood now is just bolted forever to the boat. I want something, like I said, that has no footprint. Once I take it off, you had no idea I ever had a motor on this boat. So that was my thought going into the bracket that I wanted to make. So I already made the bracket. This is the bracket I made. It is 1 inch by 1 inch aluminum stock, which I got at Home Depot. A piece of king starboard. There's actually 4 pieces of king starboard here. They're 4 pieces. They are a 1/2 inch thick. I have 2 that look like this, and then I have 2 that I cut like this, that this bar recesses inside of it. And on Amazon, I bought these bracket bolts. I don't even know if it's stainless steel. I would say it's not. It's like a bluish color. So take it for what it is. And I drilled some holes here and here. These holes actually correspond with the track system on the back of the Bonafide. So I guess now let's go look at the Bonafide to see how I put this on. Okay, so here is the tracks. On the Bonafide 127, there's a track on this side and there's a track on the other side. So like I mentioned, I wanted to be able to install this without leaving any permanent type of footprint. So this just slides on like that. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I have it bolted down. I just tighten this up. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay. So before I get too far into this, let me kind of explain how I even got to this point, as far as how long this should be and all that. So now what I did before I made this bar up is I did a mock-up. I wanted to see where this motor is going to work the best for me. I wanted it to be out of my way when I was fishing and moving around. So I figured back here is a perfect place. It's kind of out of the way. I can move the handle in like this to really get out of my way so I'm not whacking my elbow on it. So I thought that this is a good solution for it right here. And as far as how much the overhang was, I just measured my bracket and I knew I needed 6 inches. So I gave myself 7 inches out here, and I gave myself 3 inches on that end, just enough where it stops at the boat. I didn't want it to overextend, but I wanted still to have enough on the aluminum when I bolted it that there was still quite a bit of material still there. So once I figured all that out, that's how I came with how long I need this to be, and also how long I needed this to be, because this actually has to clamp onto this. So I knew I needed at least 3 inches, and I knew this had to be at least 2 inches for all this to work. So that's how I got to where I am right now. Now, as far as the bracket, there's something that I noticed, and let me bring you in closer so you can see it too. You see the space right here? This space is allowing this motor to do this. You see how that whole thing is walking? That is no good. So just to do this is not going to work on this kayak. So of course I came up with a solution to fix that. Let me get this engine off and I can show you how I fixed that. This is what I came up with. More king starbs again. There are 2 things happening. One thing is I have now a bigger footprint for this to sit on. Actually, it's for this side. So now that sits on here like that. And what's going to happen when I bolt it down, this now is going to be a bigger footprint that's going to stop this from doing this. It's not going to walk. And this wedge piece is going to fill that gap that was there. So we're going to fix that. I'm going to put this through here like this. And I'm going to slide this on like so. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So it's going to look like this. Okay, now with these wedges on here, it is solid. It feels really, really strong. There's very little movement. All right, so now you can see how that's put on there. I filled that space is now filled. There is no movement right now. It is very, very minimal, and I did that on both sides. And I think this is going to be a huge deal for me because I'll be able to just remove everything just by unbolting it and undoing it. I can take the motor off. This bracket comes off. There might be, a lot of times there's going to be times where I'm not even going to use a trolling motor. I bought this, and there's only a couple of ponds that I can think of that I would actually benefit from having a trolling motor. The rest of the time, I actually enjoy fishing without a trolling motor. I'm usually the type of person that finds a place that's good, anchor, and I fish. It's kind of my way of doing it. With a trolling motor, I'll just be able to get there faster. That's the only thing. And it's nice, like I said before, to have a system that I can just completely remove, and you'll never know I even had a motor on here. So there are still things to do with this motor. I want to cut the shaft still. I think the shaft is way too far down. I am probably going to take off, it looks like 4 inches I'm going to cut off the shaft. And I'm also going to buy a guard to put on the prop. This just in case this gets too close to my kayak. I don't want to put a hole in it. And I'm not going to know for sure how this is going to function until I get this out on the water. It looks like it will work. I think it's far enough back where I can comfortably control this with no problem. And if it needs to go back some more, you know, it's on a track. I can just slide this whole thing right back. So I'm not worried about that. So leave me some comments and some thoughts of what you think. And as always, thanks for watching and please subscribe. Bye.